This morning on The Dish, Simon Rogan and Lon Clume. The two-star Michelin restaurant features one of the world's most elaborate tasting menus inside a 13th century building. Since opening 20 years ago, Lon Clume has been named best restaurant in England 6 times. It is not easy to reach, 5 hours north of London. Harder to get a reservation. But for those who make it, they get way more than a meal. It is art, history, and food colliding in one extraordinary place. Visiting the small village of Cartmel in northern England is a bit like taking a step back in time. Narrow, winding roads wrap around stone buildings erected in the Middle Ages. Inside one of those buildings is a restaurant called Lon Clume, or the Anvil.
People say to us when they come here, who did your interior design? Well, you know, it did itself. You know, it's not changed. It's since the 13th century.
At Lon Clume, a carefully choreographed team of cooks start early in the morning, executing the vision of a man whose extravagant tasting dinners have become a modern-day masterpiece. Simon Rogan, the chef, never afraid to bite off as much as you can possibly chew. 10 years ago, this was nothing.
2011, yeah, we entered an empty field and thought this would be a perfect location for our new facility.
Unsatisfied with the produce he was receiving at Lon Clume,
We'll take some of these tomorrow for the cabbage dish that we're going to do.
Rogan cut out the middleman and built his own farm.
Wow, blimey.
Sharp.
Yeah, sharp, yeah, powerful. Even the thing like a radish, having the perfect radish, which is so easy to grow, was reaching us in such poor quality. So that's how we started farming, growing radishes.
And that's what this allows you. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, look at it.
Yeah, well, obviously things progressed, and then it moved on to roots, carrots, turnips, all sorts of kales, lettuces. I mean, you know, there's nothing we don't grow now.
Rogan says that how something is grown is more important than how it's cooked.
You just pick off, and that's a real hit of anise flavour. Packs a punch.
Yeah, it does.
Does, yeah.
That said, the cooking that takes place inside Lon Clume is about as elevated as it gets. The tasting menus consist of anywhere between 15 to 18 courses.
And we've got some little spinach leaves, which are lovely and juicy. It's called New Zealand spinach.
What was the idea behind making the menu just a tasting menu?
Well, I always like taste. It's the way that I like to eat myself. As many little tastes and textures as possible within a meal. I like to see a lot of different variation and an interesting technique. So just a bit of a performance and you know, really showcasing what we've got around us and what techniques we have, really.
The technical detail and precision put into every plating is remarkable to watch, eat, and given the elaborate displays, describe. But here's a small sampling. Dish number 1.
Okay, so we like to start off the meal with a series of little snacks just to get the taste buds going. So this one is a little tartlet made from dehydrated gooseberry juice.
The gooseberry juice tartlet is filled with lobster tail dressed in an emulsion of the lobster head, rosehip puree, and chopped cherry bell radishes.
There's layers. That's the thing, is making something that looks so simple, have that X factor.
Delicious. Next up was a fritter of smoked eel and confit pork in an onion tapioca crumb with fermented sweet corn dusted with lavage powder. Pissandra cucumbers compressed in calamint, raw scallops, and pickled elderflower.
Fish and shellfish is the only thing that we can't actually create ourselves. If we could, we would, but we leave it to the experts, that side of things.
Zucchini roasted in yeast and fennel pollen, pickled quail eggs, and herbs. Grilled cabbage cooked in buttermilk and served with hen-of-the-woods mushrooms, horseradish, and Welsh truffles. Turbot with kale leaves and smoked roe, bay sea vegetables, and a sauce made from mussel stock, sour cream, and gooseberries. And finally, the Anvil, Rogan's signature dessert. Caramel mousse flavored with homemade miso, sprayed with bronze, and sitting on a bed of caramelized apples. Oh my goodness. Wow. Layers again. Oh boy, delicious. Since opening L'Enclume in 2001, Simon Rogan has expanded. There's now a chef's tasting room next door, plus his one Michelin star casual location down the street. He's also opened a spot in London and 2 in Hong Kong. He has his eyes on New York City next. If history is any guide, America is in for something exquisite.
I mean, it's been an amazing journey. And I've got an amazing team around me that enable me to look at new projects and see the world a bit more, which is what being a chef's all about, is getting out there, experiencing the world and experiencing different cultures.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
I think the most elaborate and technically precise meal I've ever seen.
Yes, it looked
prepared. The amount of work that goes into each one of those small little tastings.
Right.
We don't have any of these
It's okay. we
18
understand,
dishes here
yes.
because it was weeks ago.
So you're
and
taking
it's-
us overseas,
and it's
we're
across the
gonna
pond. So I'm going to take both of you to England, and we'll go to L'Enclume together.
Or-
promises, Jeff. You've been making a lot of those.
What do you mean? We'll
Here's
do it.
when he opens in New York.
There it is.
That's right.
Then you'll
There you go.
take us.
Perfect.
There it is.
I like
Right.
that one.
All righty.